made a powerful request of a wonderful man who told me he will never say no when I ask him to do something. And I put it to the test 3 times now. Maybe 4. Mr. Neal Jr., who is our keynote speaker this morning. He was recently recognized as the Certified International Property Specialist Speaker of the Year. He is world-renowned real estate and also world-renowned coaching. The man is a man of honor and integrity and commitment. He does what he says he's going to do. Period. End of discussion. He calls me ma'am when I call him. He shows me the utmost respect, and I now call him sir. As a result, he's trained me. And he recently released a book. I mentioned it to you yesterday. This is a fantastic book. You should all get it. If you haven't already read it, it's wonderful. And it's Strategies for Wealth Building. Who doesn't want to build more wealth? Anybody? Raise your hand if you don't want to build more wealth. Okay, Ralph's done. He's got enough. If you would please get on your feet and help me give a standing ovation in advance to this incredible man, Mr. Neal Jr.
Wow, 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 wow. All right, you all take your seats. I was chasing Amy for a hug, and I guess she's hugged out. She's had her 3, so she just walked straight off the stage before I get my hug from Amy again. So that's okay. I mean, I guess I'm not as loved as I thought Love you.
If Neal asks, I come running.
All right. Good morning, Star Power. How are we doing today? All right. So a couple of things. I have no idea what's going to come up on the slides beside me. Okay, so the way I often operate is I want to feel out the crowd. And so people are saying, Neal, we can't wait to see what you're going to say. That makes 2 of us, all right? But I do believe in giving honor and respect where honor is due. And so we know the impact that Star Power has had on us if you've been here for more than a week. As part of the family. But could we just give Amy and what she's doing a huge round of applause, please? And I just want to tell you all, it is an honor, it is a privilege to be here. And so my dad was a Navy man. He was a sailor. So we learned some things in our household, and it really was giving honor and respect where it was due. I am going to talk like a sailor a little bit later, so I'm going to go ahead and prepare you and warn you now. But I want to acknowledge a couple of few groups that are very important to me. So if you are a military veteran, active service personnel, reservist, or first responder, would you just raise your hand high, please? Okay. Wait. If your hand is not raised, and if you are physically able to stand to your feet, and let's give these ladies and gentlemen the standing ovation they deserve, would you all please do that for me? Thank you all so much. We truly appreciate. Thank you all so much. So we appreciate the sacrifice that you all have made. And because I believe that we are the 3rd greatest industry in the world. First, I believe the most important job is protecting our freedoms, right? Making sure that we have the ability to move so that we can do this thing called climb in whatever area of life. Then I think number 2, is educating our babies. Teaching them not what to think, but how to think. And then after that, I believe it's us, right here in this room, realtors, helping individuals understand and experience this thing of home ownership. But there's another group of individuals, and those are going to be the family members of our vets, active service reservists, and first responders. Where are you? If you're a family member of any of those groups, just raise your hand. And then let's just go ahead and give them applause right now, please. And here's what we know. We know that anytime your loved one is on deployment or if they're out on shift, that a big piece of your heart goes with them. And we don't take that lightly, even though sometimes we seem to take that for granted. So here's what my job is today, this morning. First is to make sure that everyone except Buddy stays awake, right? So that's my job. Everyone except Buddy stay awake. But then my job is to do with words what cannot be done with hands. To do with words what cannot be done with hands, and that is to help move us along this route, move us along this journey as we not only climb to success, but climb to authority. So when I started in real estate 19 years ago, I was hired from Terminex. I was doing WDO inspections, crawling under houses in South Florida. And one of the agents that I was doing WDO inspections for, he came to me, he said, "Neal, you're too sharp to be crawling under houses. Why don't you come sell them?" And I was like, "Okay, I'll give it a shot." And so he said, "When are you available to come by and just to the office?" I'm like, "Well, I have your report done in about 30 minutes. I can come to the office after that." And so I went to his office, and the one professional regret that I have is that I stole from Terminex, because I never went back and turned in my clipboard or my measuring wheel so that I could create the charts of the home. But what I learned that day from my mentor, who still mentors me today, and I was with him for 8.5 years, is that if we put a dream, if we have a dream in our heart, if we have a family that's willing to help support us, that anything truly is possible. And so what we're going to look at today is, how do we climb to authority? So this story, when I talk about my mentor, the reason why it's so important, it was a team that I came into, and they were really good at what they did. They were an awesome two-partner team, had buyer agents, and it's me, this guy in short Bahama shorts and a polo shirt in there, having no idea about real estate. And the very first day I came into the office, here's what he said. He said, "I want you to sit down." Now, for my stars in here, this is not the best onboarding process, okay? It's not the best onboarding process, I'm telling you now. But here's what he did. He said, "Hey, sit here in your Terminex outfit and just put these cassettes into this tape player, listen to everything that is said, and then I want you to build processes and systems off of what's on the cassettes. And then after the cassettes, I have these CDs and this book of CDs." And so for 8.5 years, from day number one, I was spoiled. I came in and I sat down and I listened to the Crockett team, right? And I understood how, as someone at a neophyte level, we started building systems, and I was part of something great. And so what we're going to look at now is, how can we do this thing? How can we achieve greatness? But it might not be the greatness that we started with, the idea of greatness. So really quickly, do we have anyone in the room that's been in the industry less than a year? Anyone in the industry less than a year? Hey, I saw it. So anyone here in the industry less than 5 years? In the industry less than 5 years. So congratulations and condolences for those of you who have been in the industry less than 5 years. But here's why some of those giggled around us. Because they understand, they know this thing that we're on, this journey, this climb that we are on. So here's where we go now. Whether you've been in the industry for less than 5 years, or if you're coming up on your 4th or 5th decade in the industry, there's this thing that we are chasing after, and it is not sales volume. You all, this group, this room right here, do we like the sales volume? Yes. Do we do this simply because of the sales volume? No. Because I know that your attendance here today, this weekend, there are other things, not better, but there are other things where we could lend our time to. So I have been fortunate enough to take some highs, some lows. So I want a couple of permissions from you all today. Do I have permission to speak to you like family? So we're like, hey, hold on now. Buddy's our brother. No, we don't want you talking to us like Buddy speaks to us, right? So since I love Buddy so much, for my stars in here, you all know that Buddy, we have like a hate-hate relationship. I hate to see him come and he hates to see me leave, right? So there are two ladies who are here in the room that I have to show respect to out of love, but it's not love for them as much as it is for love for just sticking it to Buddy, right? So my lovely wife, Joanna, would you just wave at everyone real quick? That's my lovely wife. She participates. She allows me to play and have fun. But this one is for Buddy. My mother. Mom, would you just stand up, please? Would you stand up, Mom? And do me a huge favor. Make sure you look that way right there at Buddy and just wave at Buddy. Because it's hard to boo me when my mom's favorite son is on the stage, right? So Buddy says that it is an unfair advantage, right? But here's what I know. You've got to use what you got, baby. You got to use what you got. So today, I want to be your guide. There was an opportunity. First, Amy, thank you for this opportunity. Richard Waystack, you know what you mean to me, brother. Thank you so much. Sam, I appreciate you and your guidance as well. But in this thing that we're on this climb, this ascent, there are two types of individuals that we could be. One, we could be a guide, or we could be a salesperson, right? We could be the tour guide, or we could be the travel agent. Do you all know the difference? The travel agent is going to sell you on the idea. They're going to sell you on all of the beauty, on all of the wins. And they're going to say, tell me about it when you get back. Your guide is going to say, let's go. Let's walk. I've taken this path before. I believe I know where there might be some pitfalls. So today I'm going to ask for your permission as a member of the family to be your guide. Is that okay with you all today? So I am going to not do like Amy. I am not going to say you guys. I'm going to attempt to say ladies and gentlemen and Buddy. So I'm saying ladies and gentlemen and Buddy. Okay? Just so you all know that I'm authentic and genuine. Be like, he's a liar. He said gentleman and didn't even acknowledge Buddy. Do you feel left out? So what is authority? What is authority? Authority is not just knowledge. Would we agree there? Yes or yes? Authority, oh yes, so I just take all the bad options out of the table. Yes or yes, all day today. So what is authority? It's not just knowledge, but it's recognized leadership. And in your life, in your business, do you have recognized leadership with your clients, your team leader, your team members, your colleagues, your customers or prospects? Do you have true authority? And here's what authority is. Authority is when your phone rings first, when clients or customers, when they say, I've been following your work. When they hear your name and they say, oh, he's a lot better, she's a lot better than Buddy, right? That's what authority is. Authority is when people line up to wait for you and you don't have to chase. But we stand in a position of welcoming in and saying, yes, I am here to serve, not to sell. We've heard in this time, and here's why authority is so important. Because many of us, we know competent realtors. Do we know competent realtors? Right? Many of us, we might be at this place of competence, but we haven't ascended to authority yet. Say yet. Because we will get there, but we're going to get there together. Are we okay with that? Yes or yes? So here's why competence versus authority is so important. Authority gets you hired. Competence keeps you employed. Authority gets you hired. Competence keeps you employed. But what's the challenge there? Many of us, we have to get the competence before we can create and build the authority. So we have what it takes to stay employed. We just don't have what it takes to get hired in the first place. So the challenge is, how do we move from a place of competence to a place of authority in a relatively short amount of time? We've heard the saying, know, like, and trust. Could I challenge you all and say that's in a little bit of the wrong order? So we're going to look at 6 steps today. And so there's really going to be 3 parts of this ascend, of this climb to authority. But there are 6 things. Here's our goal. With every client, every customer, prospect, colleague, referral partner, our goal is to get them to like us, trust us, Know us, hire us, pay us, refer us. And since I know I have Rico and Kimmy in the building right here, Rico is also the mayor of Tuscaloosa, just in case you all didn't know. Rico, just stand up and wave at everyone, Rico. You all might know him as Mr. Harwood, but he's Rico. Don't ask me why. But we want people to like us, trust us, know us, hire, pay. What's the last one? Refer. There was a time when we say know, like, trust. And here's why we have it in this order when we talk about this thing called authority and building authority and climbing to authority. We want people to like us first, right? We know people do business with people that they like. If you don't like me, is there a likelihood that you're going to trust me? Probably not. If you don't trust me, do you really want to get to know me? Nah. Are you going to hire me? Probably not. Now we have to worry about this thing called paying us, right? And then we want them to refer us. So authority gets us hired and competence keeps us employed. And here's why it matters so much today. Here's why we are here in this room today. It's because more than ever, we see disruption. We know that after yesterday, how many of us attended the general session with the AI? How many of your minds are melted, right? How many of you believe that you got your value just out of yesterday? That's good. So that means there's no pressure on me. Whew. So everything else now is a bonus, right? But here's why we want to climb to authority. It makes our business easier. Not easy, but it makes it easier. Are we familiar with KPIs? Yes or yes? What is a KPI? So I speak Alabamese. So in Alabamese, we have a different KPI. It's called the key person of influence. And the key person of influence, if you can focus on being a KPI, not the key performance indicators. If you can focus on being a KPI, a key person of influence, everything else is easier, not easy. And so that's what we're going to look at. It provides less resistance on compensation and the terms that we want on our marketing agreement or listing agreement or buyer agreements. It's going to allow more referrals to come in. More media opportunities are going to find you. And so this idea is that the idea of authority. Authority is the summit of your professional brand. And so while we're climbing to authority, the ask is, what are your steps? Do you have a plan? What is your goal to get to be the best? So I have a saying that I stole from someone in full transparency, and he said, Neal, I'm easy to find if you're looking for the best. And I was like, that's pretty good. So that's not mine to give away, but if you all want to take it, you can do as I do. I'm easy to find if you're looking for the best. And I was curious how much authority I had in people's lives until last night I found out that someone found me without even knowing my name. In fact, they found me by using someone else's name. And whether you know me, how many of you have ever heard me present before, heard me speak before? Okay, so I'm not as famous as I thought I was, hands down. It's up from here. Very humbling. Thank you all so much. And here's why I say it's humbling. My mom and my wife didn't even raise their hand. And so what that lets me know is they've been in the room and have not heard a single thing that I have said for 15 years. But here's the thing about authority. We don't get there by luck. We don't get to the top. We don't get to the summit by luck. Would you all agree, yes or yes? Now, can we be lucky? Can we have moments of luck? Absolutely. But we do not get to the top by luck. And so when I started, I had to ask myself, where do I want to go? Do I want to be the number one producer? Do I want to be the single home or first time buyer specialist? And I said, I have no idea. But here's what I want to be. I want to be someone who makes a difference. And so I asked the question, well, how do I, as someone coming in knowing nothing, how do I build something, not for the numbers, not for the recognition, not for the audience or applause, but how do I build something that makes a difference? And so through trial and error, through listening to tapes and CDs and hanging out with people and being the dumbest person in a really smart room, much like would be the case today if Buddy wasn't in here, all right? But I'm the half of the class that makes the top half possible, okay? And so here's what we have to look at. There's 3 steps that we're going to look at in this framework to building or climbing to authority. The first one is going to be chart your route. Have you charted your route to the top, to the mountain, to the summit? My wife, my mom and I, we went for a walk this morning. I thought it was a walk, it turned into a hike. Here's why. We got up at 5:11, we're out of the door, and we just walked up Broadway. And I saw this thing called a mountain in front of me. How many of you know that when you look at a mountain, it always looks closer than it really is? And so for us, many of us here in this room that are in the industry, we see the mountain of success, and we think, I want to get there. I can get there. I mean, I got my license. I don't have to use meets and bounds. I don't have to know about riparian rights and all that. So I can sell this thing. Besides, there are TV shows. I have a camera. I can do this thing. But when my wife and my mom and we started walking, I was energetic. And we were walking up Broadway. And my wife was like, hey, how long are we walking? I'm like, 30 minutes. We're going to get to that mountain. An hour and 11 minutes later, we could see the top of a hill. And I thought it was the hill. And so in our businesses, we're looking at the mountain of success, maybe number 1 producer, maybe just not having to worry about bills at the end of the month. And we're saying, I can get there. But what I realized was that, like this morning, I hadn't charted my route. I had not mastered my story. And here's where we're going to begin our ascent to the top today. It's with your story. How many of you have a story? How many of you have a story that you're proud of? How many of you have a story that you wish you hadn't, that you don't have? I have one, and it involves Buddy West, so that's one for another night. But here's the thing. How many of you are leveraging your story to build the authority that you deserve? That's the problem. I want to tell you right now that people don't follow facts. They follow stories. Stats support, but stories win. So as we leave this session today, I want you thinking, what is the story that I'm going to tell? How can I build my authority? How can I climb to authority in a shorter time than using metrics and stats and data? So I mentioned my dad was in what branch of the military? Navy. That's part of my story. I'm a first-generation realtor from Alabama, working in South Florida. 67% of my business is done with individuals whose native language is not English. And I mentioned I only speak English and Alabamese. I tell everyone that English is my second language. The problem is I don't have a first one, right? See, that has to translate. Some of you are like, I thought Alabamese was his first language. It's not a real language, people. So hey, everyone from Alabama is like, hey, who said it's not, right? And so here's what I want you all to think. If people don't follow facts, they follow stories. And if people aren't following you on your climb to the top, could the lack of the following could be because you don't have a story worth following? Or that you aren't sharing your story so people can follow. Stories win, stats support. So what story do you have? And we know that we aren't human individuals. We heard whether it was Mike or if we hear Amy talk about the story. And we say, oh man, it endears us to them. And then what do? All of a sudden, we like them because of the story. Then guess what? We find ourselves trusting them. And then we dive a little bit deeper. And what happens? We get to know a little bit more about them. So now when it comes to the ask of higher pay and Refer, it makes everything just a little bit easier. And your story, here's what your story is when we talk about charting your route. Your story is your climbing route. What story do you want to tell for your clients, for your customers, for your colleagues? Have you put any thought into that? Because here's what I do know about us. I know that we are competent, yes or yes? But competence and authority are not the same. And the ask is, how do I move from competence to authority? How many of you have ever worked with someone, bought something, not because it was the best product, not because it was cheaper, but simply because it had a compelling story? Guilty, right? And so now, how do we leverage that to our businesses and our potential? So there are some keys to a compelling story. Now, your story does not have to be as dramatic as something that a movie was made about. You don't have to be Jack on the Titanic to have a story about you, okay? Here's what we do need. We do need to have your story to have a little bit of struggle. In your real estate careers, has anyone here experienced struggle? Like, Neal, I'm struggling right now. I'm struggling with the idea of how Buddy West got an award. I tell you what, the struggle is real. It's real. So, it's not what you know, it's not what you know, it's who you know. There we go. So now that answers so many questions. Thank you so much. Now we know how Buddy West got the award. So when we talk about our story, does it have a struggle in it? Now, it doesn't have to be a hard struggle. It doesn't have to be something that you don't want to share, but it has to be a human struggle. It has to be something where people say, I know, I trust her. I believe that if I hire them, they're going to put more money in my pocket. They're going to keep me from spending more than I should. They're going to help me traverse this terrain that might be a little bit challenging. And so here's a story, one of my most important stories in my life. My wife and I, we love Thai food. Now, Thai food doesn't love us. We love Thai food. There's a difference. And so we would go to this restaurant every Tuesday, every Thursday in North Miami. And we would just go there and eat all the time. And so then the wait staff would come out and they would say, Mr. Neal, do you want spicy? I'm like, yes, I want spicy. American spicy or Thai spicy? You know when they ask that question, and I say Thai spicy. Woo, I know. And so I would order my Thai spicy food, and the sweat would just start running down my head. And I don't have this thing called a sweat stopper. You all might know it as hair. I don't have that. And so what happened was, after about 2 months, the entire wait staff, my dad always told me, if you're going to leave a business card, leave a good tip. Right? And so we would always leave a really good tip. And next thing we know, the wait staff would want us in their section. Mr. Neal, Mr. Neal, Miss Joe, Miss Joe. Okay? And so then this guy comes up. He says, Mr. Neal, you real estate man. Yes, I am. I need your help. I'm the guy. I need to buy a place. So I helped Supak, the owner of the restaurant, buy a place. 2 months later, Supak comes, Mr. Neal, I need your help. Oh, I've messed up. I need some rentals for my agents. Okay, Supak, we can do that for you. About 3 weeks later, Supak comes, Mr. Neal, I need some help. We've definitely messed up at this point, right? I need to buy another house. For what? For my brother who's moving from Thailand over here. And so over 19 years, Supak and I have done 60 deals together, right? Supak is the single reason that gave me confidence, gave me the courage to tell a story. Because here's what Supak knew. Supak, and I was a new agent when I met Supak. Supak did not know that I had 0 transactions under my belt. Here's what Supak knew. He knew that I felt like an immigrant coming from Alabama to South Florida, which is another country, Miami, right? Supak understood that while I did not speak Spanish, while I did not speak Thai, while I did not speak production, I spoke the language of respect. And so I wove that into my story with the struggle, with the insight, with the shift. But ultimately, what we're here, I want your story to be one of service. If you will sail and tell the story of service, your authority moves up very, very quickly. So I mentioned Richard Waystack. Richard and I have known each other for a number of years, working in obscurity at bar camps in North Florida. Little did I know that when I met Richard, and I remember that Richard is always prepared, right? And so he had his backpack, and I was like, man, I don't have the adapter for my computer for a presentation. And Richard was like, what do you need? And I was like, I don't know what I need. Have you all ever felt like that? Where you know you needed something, but you didn't know what you need, and you just went to someone and said, hey, I have no idea. I'm in deep water here. And Richard said, he opens up his bag. Which adapter do you need? What is it? And he not only gave me, he showed me, and then he walked me through it. And then we come back, I think 7 or 8 years later, and Richard introduces me to Amy at Celebration, and then I find myself here. And it's all because of the story of service. And so more than your stats, or your stats important? Yes, they are. They're going to support. But your story of service is going to be one that is more vital than anything when we climb to authority. So I'm going to encourage you. I know you have a lot to do over the next week, but I'm going to ask you, craft your story. Ask it, can I chart my route? Do I know where I want to go? Do I know what I want my story to say when I'm no longer here? So October 23rd, 2013, I was in Yantley, Alabama, out by Meridian, Mississippi, and we were on an ATV. We were on a side-by-side, a gator. So I don't want you all to think I was riding gators, like I'm not that guy in South Florida. So I was on a gator, a side-by-side, and it flipped over, broke my left leg, compound fracture, bone out of the skin. My friends put me in the back of a Tahoe. We're in Alabama, Mississippi. They drive me over to the hospital. October 23rd, 2013, at about 3 o'clock in the morning, because of some complications, I flatline. I'm gone. I'm done. So that is 12 years ago? And so I started thinking, when I finally got myself back together, I was like, man, my story's over. My story was over 12 years ago. And what I realized was that I had left an incomplete story. That I had a small story, that I might have had some impact, I might have had some influence, but I had not built an authority place yet. And so I want you to ask, when you're creating your story, start with the end in mind, right? Because I have this saying here, every climber studies their route before the ascent. Now, some of us, we don't even know that we're on the climb to authority yet. Some of us are like I was this morning. We're just on a walk. We're like, hey, I'm going to give this thing a shot. I'm going to see how long the interest rates are what they are. I'm going to see if we keep Powell or not, if he's going to be gone. We're going to see what Lawrence Yun says next week. Hopefully he gives us some great news. Maybe our listing inventory or the buyers get off the fence. And we might still be just taking a walk. But if we are serious about making a career out of this thing, if we're serious about doing something and changing generations and creating legacy, we must start charting and studying our route before the ascent. Because your story is the route that guides your audience to see your value. Because they're not going to see your value in our CMAs. They're not going to see our value in our listing presentations. They're going to see and understand and receive our value from our story. So after we draft our route, after we choose and plot our route, we must establish base camp. And here's what base camp is. Base camp is where we gather and prepare. How many of you believe that in your business, in your life, Amy mentioned business and life, how many of you believe that you have a very strong base camp? Right? So this room right here is part of your base camp. And here's what base camp is. Base camp is where climbers fuel up, where they recalibrate, and they plan their next move. In real estate, we'll talk about that in a moment, but in real estate, your base camp is your local market. And what we've learned, do we have any real climbers? Not like me, like I accidentally climbed a hill today, right? Do we have any real climbers in the room? Okay. So for my real climbers, here's what they know about base camp. The higher you plan to go, the stronger your base camp needs to be. If you're doing a hike, an hour walk, just up a hill that felt like a mountain, I want to be clear. If you're doing an hour walk, you don't need a very strong base camp. We can have lackluster systems. We can sort of fudge our way through the market stats. We can sort of make a half effort on our story. But if we want to ascend to authority, we have to have a really strong base camp. And we don't want, our base camp means that we must speak like authority figures. We must position ourselves as someone who knows the local market, who knows the median days on market, list price to sales price ratio, sales price versus or absorption rates, any of that. So my question is, how strong is your base camp? And here's what it means to know our base camp. Do you know the zoning updates? Now, I know we aren't zoning specialists, right? I know that's not what we do for a living. But do you know about zoning in your marketplace? So for me, I specialize in 4 zip codes, 33308, 316, 330, and 331. That's it. In those marketplaces, in those zip codes, guess what I tell everyone? I'm easy to find if you're looking for the best. And here's a pro and a con about having a very strong base camp. We believe, as human beings, we believe that how you do anything is how you do everything. Do we agree with that idea? So, people believe that because I know about 4 zip codes, because I'm awesome in those 4 zip codes, okay? They assume this guy knows everything about real estate. But the difference is that I speak through my story with authority about 4 zip codes. And so then I make sure that my base camp is really strong. Whether I'm using services like RPR, if I'm going to use some other information data or information gathering, if I'm using AI, I can now, based on the authority that I have with 4 zip codes, it is borrowed in other areas. That is what's going to give Supak the confidence to come to me and say, Neal, I believe you can help me. So I mentioned the 60 deals that Supak and I have done over 19 years. 4 of those were for malls. I remember the very first time Supak called me, he said, Mr. Neal, I want to buy a mall. And I was like, I go through my Alabama-nese dictionary and I'm looking for mall. And I'm like, Supak, when you say mall, what do you mean? He was talking about a strip mall. Supak wanted to buy a strip mall because the culture, hey, let's do something. Let's build generational wealth. Let's make sure that we have passive income. And I go to Supak, I'm easy to find if you're looking for the best in 4 zip codes. I have no idea about commercial real estate. And Supak tells me, Mr. Neal, I'll wait. You're going to wait on what, Supak? I'm going to wait for you to be ready. Supak, you don't have that much time, sir. Supak, we're the same age, so I was really saying I don't have that much time. And so what I did was, Supak said, Neal, I believe that because I know you, trust you, like you, willing to hire, pay, refer, I'm going to borrow. I believe that your authority here, he says, Neal, Mr. Neal, we can do it. So what I did was I started reaching out to my family. I started asking questions. Hey, here's what I need. I need someone to do everything except talk to Supak. If you could do everything except talk to Supak, you can have all of it. Neal, no, that's not right. Oh, yes, it is. I have no idea what I'm doing. I've listened to the tapes. I've listened to the CDs. Make sure that we that we work to learn before we work to earn, right? All this stuff that we understand. And so I went to one of my friends, John. He says, oh, yeah, Neal, I'll do this for you. We'll do this together. And so 4 strip malls later, I'm looking at Supak. He's like, Mr. Neal, you are easy to find if you're looking for the best. And I'm like, guy, you have no idea. It is not as easy as it looks. So when we build our base camp authority, do you know your market? Do you really know your market? I don't know if you all heard Omar talk about his intel, the information that he gets on a daily basis. What do I need to know today? Do you know what you need to know today to be seen as the authority in your local market? If not, Omar, I see you back there. Stand up for me, Omar. Yep, go ahead, stand up. If you all do not know what you need to know today to be the authority in your local market, would you all please see Omar before you leave, because he is a gift. He is a gem. Thank you so much, sir. And it is an absolute honor to have him be a part of this family. Be hyper relevant. And so we want to be relevant, but we also want to be timely. How many of you know that there are things that we are talking about in our industry right now that no one cares about but us? So we are knowledgeable, but we aren't relevant. So if you want to climb to authority, be relevant and be hyper relevant. Now, that doesn't mean chase fads. That means be grounded. Talk to the stars here in the room. Talk to your brothers and sisters in here and ask, what do I need to know today that AI can't tell me? What do I need to know about relationships? What do I need to know about systems, about processes? What do I need to know about these things called cassette tapes that Neal was talking about, and I have no idea what they are? We're going to send you to Buddy West. He knows what they are, okay? I did this making sure that I was on the stage before Buddy, right? And so I wanted to make sure that was clear. And so here's what we look at. When we think about building our base camp, this authority base camp, do you have a support system that is going to be strong enough to get you to where you want to be? Now, I'm not telling you, especially if you work with a spouse or significant other, plug your ears. If your support team, if your team at base camp is not strong enough to help you ascend to the mountain, you're never going to get there, and you're going to grow resentful with your lack of accomplishment. So many of us, we're going to have to ask the question, is my team at base camp strong enough to get me to where I want to go? And then we're going to have to do one of two things. Either we're going to have to adjust our goal of getting to the summit, or we've got to adjust and change our team. Fair enough? And then after we have set our course, then we have established our base camp. This one, I believe, is the most important. Set your anchors. When we're climbing to authority, we might be met with challenges. We might be even met with success. But have you set your anchors? And here's what setting your anchors means in this environment, in this industry. Letting your results speak for you. How many of you know that right now, we've heard the saying that believe some of what you see, none of what you hear. Now it's hard to believe a lot of what we see, especially after the AI general session yesterday. But there is this thing that I want to live by, and Amy mentioned that I do what I say I'm going to do. But it's because my parents, they told me something at a very early age. They said, demonstration is greater than explanation. Demonstration is always greater than explanation. If someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time, right? And so when we talk about letting our results speak for us, this is how we're going to set our anchors as we climb to authority. One, how many of us are using client testimonials as a part of our daily business? How many of us are letting other people brag on us? So if I get up here and say, hi, my name is Neal Oates Jr. or Nate. How many of you, does anyone here know me as Nate? I know Kimmy, Rico, they know me as Nate, right? I have no idea why they know me as Nate Oates, but they know me as Nate. I have a very close friend of mine. He's in the real estate industry. He's been knowing me for 15 years, and he's been calling me Nate for 16 years, right? Longer than he's known me. So whether you know me as Nate or Neal, here's what I know. I know that when we talk about building authority and setting these anchors, if Amy gets up here and says, Neal is this great guy, he does what he says he's going to do, he authored a book, all of a sudden we're doing what? We're saying, hey, he seems decent enough except for the fact that he knows Buddy West. If I say it, it is bragging. If our clients, our customers say it, it is what? A testimonial. But here's what I'm going to ask you all to do. My friend is going to have a video. So he's going to be with Omer, and then they are going to do the video thing, a video breakout. And so what I'm going to ask you all to do, in my business, the most important thing that I get business for and from are going to be video testimonials. So the reason you all are asking, well, Neal, how do you become an authority and 67% of your business is done with individuals whose native tongue is not English, is because I don't make it about me. Very little, if ever, will you see my face in my marketing. What you will see is someone that looks like you, sounds like you, who's had a similar experience, and they will say, here's what I have gone through. Neal helped me through it. And that's where I'm going to ask you all to leverage the power of video. Okay? So anchors, they're going to provide safety and security on the climb up. And here's what I have on my notes. In climbing, anchors are what keep you from falling. In real estate, your results and client trust do the same. So I want you on, how many of us are familiar with the word authority after now? Authority, we're familiar with authority, but I want you to replace the word with something else. So our goal is not authority for power, for audience, for applause. Our goal, when we think authority, when we say authority, I want you to think trust. So now, when I say authority, let me ask you this. How much trust do your people have in you? Because without trust, there can be no authority. Now, there can be dictatorship, but there cannot be authority. There can be borrowed or limited power, but there cannot be authority. So my ask, how much trust do your people, how much trust do your family, how much trust do your clients, customers, prospects, how much trust do you have in yourself? Are you authoritative with yourself or not? And here's what it looks like in our business. Client testimonials, video testimonials, case studies, media features. Anyone been featured in the media in the past, I'm going to say 2 months? Anyone been featured in the media in the past 2 months? So you all are humble individuals. You raise your hands high. Okay, so really quickly, I'm going to give you all a website I want you all to go to so that you would guarantee to be featured in the media in the next month. And that's going to be Canvas Rebel, CANVASREBEL, canvasrebel.com, CANVASREBEL.com, canvasrebel.com. And all you're going to do, you're going to go to the top right corner and you're going to hit nominations and you're going to fill out that form and nominate yourself. You all are great realtors, great salespeople. You are horrible self-promoters. So I want you to go to canvasrebel.com. It doesn't matter where you are in the country. Canvasrebel.com. Go click on the top right for nominations, and you're going to nominate yourself. And they are going to reach out to you in about 8 days and ask, do you want to be featured on our digital magazine? And your answer, like Uncle Jim Rohn would always say, of course. That's what we're going to say. And for those of you who are introverts and you want to have authority, but you are sort of shy and you want to be a servant but not a salesperson, the best news is you're not going to have to speak to anyone live. You all say, whew. All it's going to be is going to be a form fill. You get to create the story that you want to tell and you get to answer the questions. And so authority is going to be a way that we can do that. And so another way that we're going to have an anchor in our business is we want to have data, that competency, backed by results. How many of you have positive results in your business? How many of you lack documentation of your results because we're always thinking about the next transaction, next sale, next service? If you raise your hand, I'm going to ask you this. Don't focus on the next. Let's use what we've already done to build authority, to gain their trust, to get some results. Let's just highlight that. Because here's what I know. David of Britain does a fantastic job of, hey, I've helped some people. I've done this. I'm not saying I'm number one. I'm just saying I've done this before, and go speak to them. Look and see what they've said. You don't need to scale a cliff by guessing. How many of us have found ourselves at some point in the industry, in our journey, guessing our way to the top, to the side, maybe back to the bottom? If you're in this room, here's what I want to encourage you with. You are around some of the best climbers in all of real estate. You are around some of the most authoritative people in the industry. Amy has said it. Everyone has said it when they come on stage. We even heard Buddy West say it when he was up here. We're willing to share everything. So my ask is, if you find yourself, if you're at base camp, and maybe after today you're realizing, I don't have the authority, I don't have the trust, I don't have the route. I don't have my story. I don't know what my anchors are. Ask. Go to someone in a breakout, go to someone in the hallways and say, hey, I have a question. I see that you're really good at this. What do I need to know? What questions should I even ask? And so here's my challenge to you as a family member. And I forgot, when I said I wanted to talk to you like family, I didn't want to talk to you like mom and dad, right? I know we get tired of mom and dad pointing the finger at us, telling us what to do. I didn't want to be that annoying brother or sister, that annoying sibling. How many of you are the annoying sibling in your family? I'm the middle child, so that's me. And well, I say I'm the middle child, I'm the favorite child. So here's why I say that. So my mom and dad had my older brother, and they were like, man, he's pretty darn good. Let's see if we can improve. They had me. They were like, we're on a roll. He's better than the first one. Let's try for another one. They had my younger brother, and they were like, we should have stopped at 2. We should have stopped at 2. So here's my challenge to you, right? I want to ask you where after today, as we look at charting our course or even establishing our base camp and then setting our anchors, what do you need to do this week? I know it's a lot to ask for today because some of us are just saying, I just need to make it back to my hotel room at some point today. That's going to be your only goal. But my ask is, what are you going to implement in the next 48 hours? You know, studies show that if we don't do something in the next 48 hours, the chances are 87% likely that we're going to do nothing. And so my ask is, do something today that's going to help you chart your route to the top. And I know from firsthand experience that every one of us are going to experience challenges. Every one of us are going to get to the hill that we thought was the mountain. And we're going to look up and we're going to look back. And the distance behind us is going to be shorter than the distance in front of us. And it's easier. My mom was walking. Mom, I'm sorry. I still love you. We were coming down the mountain hill, and she said, ooh, coming down is so much easier than going up. And I was like this in my head. I'm like, it sure is. And that's why we're here today, because we know, colleagues, we look at the industry, we look around, and we know that going down is easy. But we aren't here for easy, are we? We're here for impact. We're here to make a difference. And here's what I want to say to Amy, is that as you ascend, here's what we know. We know that the air gets thinner the higher you go up. But that's where clarity lives. Clarity lives in the thin air. And my hope today is that as we ascend to authority, as we climb to success, that we will understand that, yes, it's going to be a little more challenging. Yes, it's going to be tougher. We're going to need a stronger base camp because of the distances that we're going to try to travel. But I want to say to you that success is not the summit. We are not here for success. We are here for success, but success is not the summit. It's the courage to keep climbing. And so I hope that today, and as we go forward throughout the rest of our time here at Star Power Conference 2025, I hope that you will hold on to the courage to keep climbing. And as I open every one of my presentations the same way by honoring those, I want to end every one the exact same way. And that is by telling you that if you're still here on this spinning orb called Earth, that you have a purpose, that your job is not done, that you have something bigger ahead of you, that your story has yet to be written, and you have authority that the world is waiting for. And so it has been an honor and a privilege. Thank you for the privilege of your time. And I want to say that I love you, and there's nothing you can do about it.